Yes, yes, yes. It's another one. Raphael Dawkins, Combat Radio. And today, we're looking at the most delusional sportsman in the world. And he goes by the name of Deontay Wilder. Firstly, like, subscribe if you haven't already, comment and share. Let's go. Now, in an interview with the Daily Mail, Wilder stated, "I'm not interested in the business of trying to make some money or take some money because you see a number. That's not me. That's never been me. I look at the bigger picture. You sell me a number, I know there's going to be a bigger number than that." So let's start there. So, Wilder is talking about or alluding to the proposal made to him by Dazn, headed by CEO John Skipper, who works in partnership with Eddie Hearn. John Skipper is the big boss player. Eddie Hearn, a partner in Dazn. Now, Dazn made Wilder a £100 million offer to fight Breezel first for 20 million, and then 2 times 40 million for Anthony Joshua. So 20 million for Breezel, 80 million for 2 fights with Anthony Joshua. Deontay Wilder, the most delusional sportsman in the world, turned that offer down. Now, Deontay Wilder goes on to say, they saw a guy and thought they could throw some money. They thought they could throw some money at, and that would be it. But they found out the hard way. Well, what exactly did they find out the hard way? Let's look into that. What they found out the hard way was that Deontay Wilder is hard to deal with, if not impossible to deal with. We'll go into that later in my summary. We came in serious, and we were looking for serious answers, and we didn't get them. And for that reason, we had to leave until a further time. So, he said that we came in serious, and we were looking for serious answers. So, were you looking to make a contract, make a deal, or were you there to find out how much Anthony Joshua was making? I suggest it certainly appears to be the latter. Seems like you weren't there to make a deal, Deontay. You're trying to find out how much Joshua was making. Most unfortunate, most unfortunate. Let's move on. It won't be difficult for me to make those fights with Fury and Joshua, added Wilder. That's a very interesting statement, because for the better part of a year now, the likes of Eddie Hearn and Dazn have been trying to make a deal with you, Deontay, without success. So we have to question, how is it that you say that all of a sudden it won't be easy, it won't be hard to make a deal? It's proved to be nigh on impossible to make a deal with you, Deontay. Nigh on impossible. Let's look at another statement. I'm like the wild card in all of this. I move where I want. I can move freely. Well, let's look at that. You move where you want. You can move freely. Well, Dazn made you an offer. 20 million to fight Breezel. 80 million for 2 fights with Joshua. And you declined. You declined the offer after initially stating, I've got to look after my family. I've got 2 households I need to take care of. That was your initial statement. But then you switched. You switched it up and indicated that no, the deal would not be made. So we have to question, well, why is that? Why is the switch? But I think the answer is in your leading statement. We always wondered what the hell it was that Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel said to you that changed your mind from thinking about your 2 households and saying you've got family, big family to take care of. We always wondered what it was that prompted you to have that change of heart. And I think the answer, you've told us what it is. You have told us what it is. I will be the highest paid athlete soon. That's what you told us. And Deontay, I think that's what Al and Shelly Finkel told you. You say, I'm like the wild card in all of this. I move where I want. But no, that certainly does not seem to be the case, because you turned down 20 million to fight Dominic Breezel right here. Dominic Breezel, chubby Dominic Breezel. You turned down 20 million to fight this guy, considered an outsider. Outside possibility of him winning you. Low possibility. Very, very low. And you turned down a fight that you admitted was not pay-per-view worthy. Not PPV worthy. No pay-per-view. This is being shown on Showtime. Terrestrial TV. And you turned that down. So let's look at that. How much could you possibly be expected to earn from this fight? What? Fury said he gave his portion of the money of his take from the fight with you, which was on PPV, pay-per-view. He gave his share to charity. That figure was said to be 7 million. Now, it was supposed to be a 50-50 fight, but I'm sure you got a little bit more. So you may have got 8 million for your fight with Fury on PPV. So, what's the most you could possibly be earning from fighting Dominic Breezel on Showtime, non-PPV? The most reasonable expectation is the highest expectation. It can't be as much as you got paid for pay-per-view, so it'd have to be lower. Your previous high purse was 5 million to fight Luis Ortiz on Showtime. That was 5 million. So we can safely assume that the figure will be somewhere between 5 million, which you got for Ortiz, and 8 million, which you got for Fury. So what's that? What's that come up to? 7 million? 6.5 million? 6.5 million to 7 million max fighting on Showtime. So you're talking about a deficit. That leaves you with a deficit of between something like 13.5 million. You're 13.5 million short. 13.5 million short. So what could prompt a guy to take 13.5 million less than Dazn were offering to pay you? Well, would have to be Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel, who told you to beware of these guys. These guys are dangerous. Dangerous guys. Stay away from them. Stay with us, and we will turn you into the highest paid athlete in the world. Soon. That's what they must have told you, Deontay. That's what they must have told you. Soon I will be the highest paid athlete in the world. If no one believes it, just watch. That's what they told you, Deontay. They told you they're going to make you the highest paid athlete in the world. But you've just turned down 100 million. 100 million that you could have made within a 12-month period. Where is that money going to come from? Where is that money going to come from? PCB, PBC, Al Heyman, Shelly Finkel? You've never sniffed money like that before. How are they going to get you that money? You're turning down 40%. You have 25% of the belt. 25% of the belts. Joshua has the other 75%. So for you to expect 50% of that is outright and downright ludicrous, outrageous, preposterous. It's a non-starter. Most people, most sensible boxing people already see your demands as ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. And then we have to ask the question, well, why? Why could your ridiculous claim to 50% of the entity, 50% of the pie, 50% of the cake, who could be upholding such a ridiculous proposition when you only have 25% equity? It's utterly outrageous and bizarre. So who's the culprit for this? Well, I think the culprit are those enabling channels out there. There are channels, there are groups, there are sects, sections of people, media people who support you, who don't tell you the truth, who say, yeah, you've only got 25% of the pie, 25% of the belt, 25% of the belts, but sure you deserve 50% of the pie. You have 25% ownership in the pie, but you want another 55% on top of that. You want double. You want double your equity. Well, if you're doubling your equity, if you're taking more than you deserve, then what's the next man going to do? Where's his double? You're already being offered above your market value by some 15%. Joseph Parker was also a one belt holder, like you, Deontay. One belt holder. He had one belt. He got somewhere in the region of 33%, which is what you should really be getting. He got paid somewhere in the region of $6 million, $6.7 million. No rematch clause. $6.7 million, no rematch. You are getting 40%, 40 million with a rematch. So you double that. But yeah, it's still not good enough. You think you hold the cards. You say you can go anywhere. But clearly, you are the boy of Shelly Finkel and Al Heyman. You do what they tell you to do. You're not a free agent. You're strung up. We don't know what's in the contract. We don't know what you owe them. We don't know the hold they have on you. But you can't move around. You are no free agent. You are the boy of Shelly Finkel and Al Heyman. You deserve 20% on paper. Reasonably, 33%. You're getting offered 40%. Any reasonable, intelligent person would take 40%. You're a one belt holder. You haven't unified. Joshua won the title off Charles Martin. Won some more vacant titles of Vladimir Klitschko. Unified with Joseph Parker in a career which has only been half the length of yours. Your 10-11 years. 10-11 years as a pro. And you've never unified in the 3+ years that you've held the WBC belt. And in that time, Joshua's come along, won a belt, won a few more belts, and unified, and made multiple defenses against legitimate opponents. Whereas you were fighting guys who were just bumped up in the WBC rankings, low-ranking guys who were bumped up into the top 10 when Al Heyman told the WBC, hey, Wilder's fighting this guy next. We want him to fight this guy next. We need him higher in the rankings to make it look legitimate. That's what you've been doing, Deontay. But when you go and look at BoxRec, you find that these guys are low-ranking, out of the top 10. Nowhere near the top 10. Those are the guys you've been fighting up until last year, when you realized that to get a bigger slice of the Joshua pie, you had to fight some legitimate guys. So in a 10-11 year career, you only stepped up in the last year. That's utterly outrageous, bizarre, ludicrous. And now you're playing a game where you want to hold out because you've got the final piece of the pie. But I can assure you, the people over this side of the pond, and many on your side of the pond, are repulsed at the idea of a guy who's never done what he should have done. Never sought to unify his belt. The one belt man getting 50% of the pie. Any right-minded person would view that for what it is. Absolutely absurd. What Eddie Hearn should do is just simply ignore you. Simply ignore you until you see sense. Leave the table, leave the offer on the table. Don't talk to you anymore because you're just leading people on a merry dance. You are leading the fans of this sport a merry dance. And truth be told, I don't think you'd even accept 50%. I don't think you'd accept 50%. I don't think your owners, Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel, will allow you to fight Joshua until maybe your retirement fight. Then they may cash out. But they need a heavyweight champion for their TV deal, the PBC TV deal with Showtime and Fox. It's irrelevant to them that you make a million, 100 million. It's irrelevant. I'll need you to hold on to your belt for his TV deal, his PBC TV deal with Fox and Showtime. You just need to hold on to the belt. That's what they require of you. Just hold on to the belt. Don't get uppity. Don't get above your station. Don't start thinking about 100 mil. Forget it. Hold on to your belt. We'll take care of you later. Just hold on to that belt. Anthony Joshua guy, that big ass Anthony Joshua guy, might knock your ass out. He may knock your ass out. And so you've got 100 mil, so you're fine. Yeah, but what about us? What about us, Deontay? What about us? Deontay, you're just a small pawn in a big game. It's Raphael Dawkins, Combat Radio. Like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'm out.